Okay, so page 13 in our note packet. I'm going to give you a quadratic, and you are going to graph it. But the difference is now I have in the past given you a table with numbers in for x, correct? I'm going to give you a table now, or not even give you a table, and you're going to have to figure out the numbers for x. Now, the problem with a quadratic is, let's say I gave you a quadratic, y equals 2x squared plus 10x minus 4. And you start over here, you have an x, you have a y table, right? How do you know what numbers to put in for x in order to make sure that your parabola is somewhere on here? Like if this is not what this one looks like. But if it was, let's say you put in negative 10 for x. And then you did negative 9, and then you did negative 8, and you did negative 7, negative 6. Would you ever find that vertex point on those and see where it's going to go back up and the axis of symmetry? Remember, the vertex point is the lowest or highest point. We would need that point and a couple points to the left and a couple points to the right in order to see what shape this parabola is. But if you chose x values that weren't around that vertex, would you be able to graph this correctly? No. So we have to figure out the points. We would have to figure out what the vertex was, and then we'd have to figure out points around the vertex so we can graph this correctly. That's what we're going to learn to do today. Okay? Cross through number 1 and number 2 up top. So, in order to do this, if a quadratic equation is in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c, then the x-coordinate of the vertex is equal to negative b over 2a. So, essentially, in order to find the x value, remember, x comma y is how we write coordinate points, of the vertex, I have to do negative b over 2a. B is the number in front of the x value. A is the number in front of the x squared value. Okay? So, let's go down here. We are going to find the vertex on number 1, number 2, and number 3. So to do that, you have to list out your A value, your B value, and your C value. Now remember, it is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So A is in front of the x squared. What would my A value be on this one? What is the number in front of the x squared? 4. B is the number in front of just the x. Do I have just an x here? Here's my equation. Do I have just an x value in that equation? No. So what's my b value if I have no x value? 0. I have nothing there. There is no x value. C is the number without x's at the very end. What's my c value on this one? 0 again. Okay? Now, to find your vertex, we have to use that formula we just talked about up top, which is negative b divided by 2 times a. Okay? So what is my b value here? What? 0. Negative 0 divided by 2 times, what's my a value? Yes, someone I heard said 4. So really, we're doing 0 divided by 0 divided by 8. What is 0 divided by 8? What? 0. So your x value at the vertex is 0. To find your y value at the vertex, what you're going to do is you're going to plug this 0 in for x to solve for y. So what is 0 squared? 0. What's 0 times 4? So your vertex on this one is at 0, 0. Okay, let's try number 2. Again, here is my equation for my quadratic. We need to first list out our a value, our b value, and our c value. What is my a value here? Remember, it's the number in front of the x squared. It's not 0 because do I have x squared there? I do. -1. What is your b value here? Remember, b is in front of the x term. Why is it 0? That's correct. There's no x term here, so it has to be 0. What is your c value? 5. Do we use the c value in the -b/2a? No. We're just going to list it out, though. Okay, so now we're going to use this, -b/2a, and write down our answer. So what's -b? Negative what? Over 2 times a. What's my a value? So I get 0 over -2. Well, what's 0 divided by -2? 0 again. Comma. How do I find my y value? Yes, I plug that in for that. So what's 0 squared? And then throw a negative. Does a -0, is that any different than a 0? No. So I do 0 plus 5. What's 0 plus 5? So my vertex is at 0, 5. Let's try one more together, and then I'm going to have you guys do some on your own. I'm actually going to have us skip down to number 5. Number 5 looks pretty tricky. Here's my equation on number 5. Did they write this equation in the correct form? Is everything in the correct order? No, let's rewrite it. It should be y equals, what should come first? And yeah, -2x squared. Bring that sign with it. Then what should come after that? What kind of 16x? So plus 16x. And then what comes last? Plus 5. Now it'll be easier to find my a value, my b value, and my c value. What is my a value on number 5? -2. What is my b value on this one? Awesome, guys. And what is my c value? Good. Let's plug it into that -b/2a. So negative what? Over 2 times, what's my a? So really I get -16 over -4. What's -16 divided by -4? Awesome. So my x value is 4. How am I going to find my y value? Plug it into the x. You can go into either equation, it doesn't matter. So let's look at this. What is 4 squared? 16. What's 16 times -2? -32. What's 16 times 4? You can use a calculator. We're going to plug it in right here. What's 16 times 4? Okay. And then we have plus 5. So now on your calculator, do -32 plus 64 plus 5. What do we get? Positive 37, right? And there's my y value. I want for you to try number 3, number 4, and number 6 real quick. So the 3 we didn't do. I want for you to find the vertex on those. Number 3, what is your a value? What's your b value? And c. Is it 2, right? So negative what? -0 over 2 times how much? So that's 0 over 2, which just equals how much? 0. Plug it in to find your y value. So what's 0 squared? 0 plus 2 is 2. There's your vertex. Here we go. What's my a value on number 4? Awesome. B value. Perfect. And C value. Okay. Be careful on this. Negative what? No? That's not a 14. Negative 14. Remember, in the equation, you have to do negative b. So really, you're finding the opposite of b. What's a negative 14? It's really, so that should be a positive 14. It will completely change your answer if you left that as a negative 14. All that over 2 times, how much? 1, good. What is 2 times 1? So what's 14 divided by 2? So that's a positive 7. If you plugged in a negative 7 in for x to find y, it's going to give you the wrong answer. What is 7 squared? 49. What's 14 times 7? I'm sorry? 98. So minus 98, then plus 13. So now on your calculator, do 49 minus 98 plus 13. And what do we get for an answer? That should be negative, yeah, negative 36. Correct. All right, one more. What's your A value on 6? What's your B value? What? Negative 6. What's your C value? Opposite of B. What would opposite of B be? Positive 6. All over 2 times what? 3. So 6 over, what's 2 times 3? What is 6 divided by 6? 1. Comma, plug 1 in. What's 1 squared? What's 1 times 3? What's 6 times 1? So that'd be a negative 6 and then plus 4. So what's 3 minus 6 plus 4? Perfect. Okay, that is how you find your vertex. Now, remember, your vertex is also your maximum value or your minimum value, right? To know if it's a maximum or minimum, what I want for you to do is you will look at your A value. If your A value is excuse me. If your A value is positive, the parabola goes up. Therefore, is it a maximum or minimum? Minimum. If your A value is negative, your parabola goes down. Is it a maximum or minimum? Maximum. So, what's my A value? Positive or negative here? Positive, so it's going to go up. So would that be a max or a min? Min. What is the value? Well, it's just your vertex, guys. Number 2, look at your A value. Does that make the parabola go up, or face down? Down. So is that a max or min? Number 3. Are we okay so far? Okay. Turn to the next page. So now, they've given us a table. They've given us a quadratic. They haven't filled in any of the x's. We have to find the vertex first. Remember, we just did that on the other side by doing negative b over 2a. So on number 1, list out your a, your b, and your c values real quick first. Then to this equation, negative b over 2a. So I'm going to do negative 0 over 2 times negative 2, right? Well, that's just 0 over negative 4. What does that equal for my x value? 0. Now, take your 0 and plug it into the equation. What's 0 squared? And what's 0 times negative 2? 0 times negative 2 is 0. Find the middle box. There's 7. So middle would be 4. Your vertex goes in the middle box. To find the other x values, you're going to go the number smaller and the numbers bigger. So what is smaller than 0? Find my y values. Put your numbers in for your x's to solve for your y's. Your homework is to finish these 2 problems right here, finding the values in the